Good morning.
Morning.
And good evening for some of you.
How's it going?
It's going great. How's it going with you?
It's great.
Good to hear it. Okay, so welcome to English pronunciation practice. And for the next few lessons, we're going to do homophones, homographs, and homonyms. Okay. Homophones are words that are spelled differently. They have different meanings, but they're pronounced the same way. They sound the same, but they're spelled differently and they have different meanings. Okay. The other homographs are spelled the same. They mean different things and they're pronounced differently, but they're spelled the same. Okay. And then homonyms are spelled exactly the same and they sound the same, but their meaning is different. But we'll go over that again. Okay, so today we're going to talk about homophones, which they're spelled differently, they have different meanings, but they sound the same. Okay, so they can be confused when you're learning English. Okay, so here's some words that are commonly used, and Reese picked these out. Okay, that they sound the same, or they're pronounced the same, they sound the same, but they have different meanings. Okay. All right. So, and then we wrote some sentences. Okay. And I'm not going to get into too much detail with the rules and everything, but we can at some point. All right. So Reese is going to go first. So what are we talking about today?
May 27th.
Yeah, it's May 27th. What are we talking about today?
Homophones.
Homophones. Okay. All right. And what's the first
Flower.
set of homophones?
Flower.
Flower. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. One you can eat and one you can't. Well, I guess you can eat some flowers. Okay. Like
flower tea.
Flower tea. Right. Okay. And then
one.
One and one.
One.
Okay.
Sounds
the same, but has different meaning and spelled differently. Okay. Allowed.
Yes.
Sounds and pronounced exactly the same. Okay, and what's the next one?
Creek.
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 Creek. Creek.
Creek.
Okay, good. And then the last one?
Listen.
Lesson. Yep, that's it. Okay, let's go over them one more time. Flower. One. Allowed. Okay. Creek. Lesson. Okay. These words also have the same stress. Okay. Remember the stressors? Flower. Okay. These words are all stressed the same. Okay. And we'll get into that as well with the other lessons. Okay. All right. Okay. So flower, one, allowed, creek, lesson.
Okay. Flower, one, allowed, creek.
Not crake. Creek.
Lesson.
Lesson. Good.
Lesson.
Okay, you want to try some sentences? Okay, do you want to go first?
We need to buy a flower and flower.
Okay. We need to buy a flower and flower.
We need to buy flower. We need to buy flower and flower.
A flower. Okay. So I don't want to get too crazy here, okay, on this first one, but there is no plural for flowers. You don't buy, to make bread, you don't buy flowers, okay? It's flour, okay? All right. Flower can be one, okay, or flowers with an S, okay? Flowers, plural. Okay, so singular here. Okay, and then okay, is you put when it's singular. This is called an indefinite article. Okay, don't want to get too crazy here with the laws and the rules here, but a flower, and flower. You don't say we need to buy a flower and a flower. It doesn't go here. The or the a doesn't go here. All right, so let's go to the next one here. That's a little bit too much in one sentence, but
she was number one because she won.
Okay. She was number one because she won. Okay.
She was number one
because she won. Why? Why was she number one? Because she won. Okay. All right. What's the next one?
He wasn't allowed to speak aloud.
Okay. He wasn't allowed to speak aloud. Okay.
He wasn't allowed.
He wasn't allowed. Wasn't. Okay.
He wasn't.
Okay. What's the next one?
My bones creak along the creek.
Yeah.
Creak.
Okay. Which one is it?
My bones creak along the creek.
Perfect. Okay. My bones creak along the creek. Okay. And the last one?
The teacher wouldn't. The teacher wouldn't listen the lesson.
Okay. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson. Okay. All right. Teacher wouldn't lessen. Okay. So this means to make smaller, and this is today's lesson. Okay. So I'm going to teach the full 20 minutes or so. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let me make it pass on these. All right. So these are homophones. These are words that are spelled differently. They have different meanings, but they sound exactly the same. Okay. Flower. One. Allowed. Creek. Lesson.
You just say sound and listen. You listen different. Listen.
No, lesson. Allowed. Creek. One. Flower. They all sound exactly the same, but they're spelled differently and they have different meanings. Okay, that's a homophone. Okay. Don't need to recognize what they are, but just recognize the word and how to use it. That's what we're working on here. So, okay, so let's do the sentences again. I'll go once, okay, slowly, and you can hear how it's pronounced slowly and then quickly in conversation, like we always do. Okay, we need to buy a flower and flour. We need to buy a flower and flour. Okay. We need to buy a flower and flour. It sounds a little crazy, but okay. That's English, okay? All right. So if two people are having a conversation, they know what this means, okay? We're just using this as an example, okay? Okay. A flower. So say it's for a graduation. Your graduation, you need you need to buy a flower to wear in your lapel. Okay, so a flower, that would be a flower or the flower. Okay, all right. We need to buy a flower and flour. Okay. She was number one because she won. She was number one because she won. Mm-hmm. He wasn't allowed to speak aloud. He wasn't allowed to speak aloud. Okay. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson.
My bones creak
Okay.
along.
My bones creak along the creek. Sounds the same. Okay, what does Chris mean here? Okay, well, okay. So my bones creak, they make noise along the creek, along the water. Okay. All right. What?
I teach you my bones creak along the creek.
Mm-hmm.
就是我的骨头吱吱作响，当我独自走在小溪旁。
Too much.
Talk Chinese.
What? Okay, go slowly.
我的骨头
我的骨头，我的骨头，
吱吱作响。
吱吱作响。我的骨头，咯吱咯吱，
吱吱
吱吱
吱吱响。
吱吱响。我的骨头，吱吱响。
当我走在小溪旁，
Too much. 当我走树，
当我走在小溪旁，当
我
独自走在
独自，当我独自走溪旁。
Okay, don't.
Okay.
Forgot.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm learning, but it's going to take some time for me. Okay. All right. Flower. Okay. Any questions or comments? Now's a good time. If you have questions about these words or what is a homophone, what are the other words in the English language that sound the same or they're spelled the same? Okay. All right. Or how they're used. We're going to go over all of that this week. Okay. All the differences. Okay. And we'll just use a few examples. Flower. One. Allowed. Creek. Lesson. Okay. We need to buy a flower and flour. Okay. Okay. She was number one because she won. She was number one because she won. Okay. He wasn't allowed to speak aloud. He wasn't allowed to speak aloud. Yeah, it does sound, they do sound strange, but they are correct English sentences. And sometimes you'll hear this. Okay. Okay. My bones creak along the creek. My bones creak along the creek. Okay. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson.
The teacher wouldn't.
Wouldn't.
The
Would.
teacher wouldn't.
Wouldn't.
The teacher wouldn't.
Wouldn't lessen.
Wouldn't listen.
Yeah, wouldn't.
The teacher wouldn't listen to listen.
In conversation, we tend to, drop soundings, okay, word endings or combine words. Remember, in conversation, they might sound differently, okay? Okay. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson. Wouldn't lessen.
Wouldn't.
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 Wouldn't lessen the lesson.
Wouldn't listen to listen.
I'm not really saying the T. Wouldn't.
Wouldn't.
Yeah. Wouldn't lessen.
The teacher wouldn't listen to listen. Or listen the lesson.
Yeah, wouldn't lessen the lesson.
The teacher wouldn't listen the lesson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson. You're conversing.
The teacher wouldn't listen to lesson.
You did it. You did it. Keep going. Okay. All right. So flower, everyone. Okay. Flower.
Flower.
That's a pretty flower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We need flour to make bread. Okay. Okay. One is the number. One is for the number one.
You drink a wine.
Different vowel sound.
Wine. This one.
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 Mm-hmm.
One.
Mm-hmm.
When or
No?
mm,
Okay. Won. Okay.
Mm.
She won the race. Okay. All right. Allowed.
allowed.
He spoke aloud
He spoke aloud
to the crowd.
to the crowd.
Mhm. Okay. He was allowed entry.
Mm.
He was allowed entry. Okay. Good morning. Okay. Creek. Okay. I was fishing by the creek. I was fishing by the creek. The door had a creak. Okay, the door isn't going to have a creak of water in it. The door is going to have a sound, a creak. Okay. This was what I also want to remind you about context. Okay, where a word fits in and how you know what the right word is and what the wrong word is context. Okay, how it fits in a sentence. All right. Lesson. Mhm. He learned his lesson. Okay. Okay. Lesson. Okay. So lesson. To lessen is to make smaller. To lessen is to make smaller.
This price. This price. Listen money. Listen money.
Lessen? No.
No.
No. No. To lessen is to reduce.
Mhm.
Okay. Lessen. Lessen the impact.
I don't
Okay.
say discount. This close.
No,
Discount.
less. You wouldn't use the word less or lessen with a discount.
Mhm.
It's less. Less, which is the root word of lesson. Less is smaller. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Lessen is used differently. Okay. All right. To lessen the impact of whatever. Okay. All right. So we have some caricatures. We'll get to in a minute. Okay. I'm going to make another pass here. Okay. All right. So today's lesson is homophones. Okay. And these are words that are spelled differently. They have different meanings, but they sound exactly the same. Okay. Flower. Okay.
Flower.
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 Okay. One.
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 Better.
One.
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 Okay. Allowed.
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 Okay. Creek.
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 Okay. Lesson.
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 Lesson. Lesson.
Lesson.
Lesson.
Good.
Lesson.
We need to buy a flower and flour.
We need to buy a flower and flour.
Mm-hmm. So you would normally say we need to buy a flower and some flour, or and a bag of flour. Okay.
And some flour.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Some flour. Okay. We just shortened it. Okay. We need to buy a flower and flour.
Mhm.
Okay. She was number one because she won.
She was number one because she won. Oh.
Yeah. Right. She was number one because she won.
She was number one because she won.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't allowed to speak aloud.
He wasn't allowed to speak aloud.
Good. Okay. My bones creak along the creek.
My bones creak along the creek.
Yeah, it's very damp and cold down by the creek. Okay. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson.
The teacher wouldn't. The teacher wouldn't listen the lesson.
Good. Tough. These are all tough.
Yes.
That's why we're here. Okay, let's get the hard stuff out of the way.
Mm.
And I hate to tell you, there's lots of hard stuff with English. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any questions about any of this at all? Yeah. Okay. I think there's just a couple of salutations here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to go over this again. So this week we're talking about homophones, homographs, and homonyms. Okay. Okay. So homophones are pronounced the same, but they're spelled different and they mean different things. Flower. Okay. One, allowed, creek, E-E-E-A, okay, lesson, O-N-E-N, okay, we need to buy a flower and flower, okay, okay. She was number one because she won. Okay. He wasn't allowed to speak aloud. My bones creak along the creek. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson. It was a long lesson. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So if there's any questions, we'll just give you another minute. I'll make another pass here. I don't want to get too specific on the rules and the grammar, on too many rules. It's just putting these words into sentences and speaking them. Okay. So you can hear how they sound and visually recognize the words and where they fit in the sentence. Okay, so flower, O-W, flower, O-U, okay? Flower, sound the same. One, O-N-E, one, W-O-N. Mm-hmm. Allowed, A-L-O, A-L-L-O, allowed, okay? Creek, it's got E-E, E-A, E, okay, E sound. Lesson, O-N, lesson, E-N. Different meanings, okay. All right, a lot of times you'll see nouns and verbs. Want to be a noun, want to be a verb, okay. We need to buy a flower and flower, okay. She was number one because she won. He wasn't allowed to speak aloud. My bones creak along the creek. The teacher wouldn't lessen the lesson. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you learned something today and you'll go out and use these and it'll help you speak better, pronounce better, and spell better, and form sentences better in English.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, teacher.
All right. Until next time, stay safe and stay well, please. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.